Welcome to the first edition of Pop Voice, the Suffolk Voice's broadcast roundtable series, where we will cover all and anything pop culture from around campus and across the country. I'm sophomore Casey Parker, and today I'm joined by freshman Joe Benjamin, sophomore Erica Lynch, and freshman Matt Brown for this week's Oscar special, where we will be discussing host Neil Patrick Harris, the nominees, and our predictions, as well as a bit of controversy surrounding this year's awards. As we get started, I'm going to turn it over to Joe with some thoughts on this year's host.
Thanks, Casey. So as y'all know, Neil Patrick Harris is going to be the host for this year's Oscars. And unfortunately, he wasn't the first pick for the Oscars. It was Ellen and Chris Rock. But either way, I still think this is going to be a great decision to have Neil Patrick Harris as the host because he always did a great job hosting for any award show like the Tonys and the Emmys, and I just think he's going to do a great job. What do y'all think about that?
I mean, I think Neil Patrick Harris is a great choice because his resume is so nice. Yeah. I know the producers, it's their third time producing the Oscars. They begged Ellen to try and get her back as a host, but she denied the job. And then Chris Rock was their second choice, who also denied it. So Neil Patrick Harris, I think he's better than a third choice. I think he should have been their first choice because he's hosted so many shows. He's hosted the Tonys 4 times. He's hosted the Emmys once and 3 other shows. And he has such a great presence on stage that the camera just loves him.
Yeah, I definitely think it'll be exciting to see what he has in store for us. I don't know how he's going to top the 2013 Tony performance. It was absolutely amazing, so I'm definitely excited to see what we're going to see.
And Neil Patrick Harris has a lot of experience with live work, too. He is fresh off of Broadway right now with Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and that had amazing reviews. He was amazing in that. He actually won 3 Emmys, I think it was, for his awards show performances and has been doing really big things ever since.
And actually, the rumor is that Lady Gaga is going to be performing with him for the opening number of the Oscars, so that'll be very cool to see.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, it's going to be really crazy. Like, I can't wait for him to top up something like he did for the 2013 Tonys with having to, like, pretty much all the musicals that were nominated that night and having them all perform in just one big song, and it was just really crazy. And especially the finale where it had like the little ring on top of it, he was just like standing on there. It was
it was amazing.
I just can't wait to see what he's going to do next.
Yeah, speaking of live performances, I know The Lonely Island is performing Everything is Awesome from the Lego movie, and that's one of the best song nominees. And then some other nominees for Best Song are playing, like Adam Levine's performing Lost Stars from Begin Again, and John Legend is performing Glory from Selma. So I'm excited for those performances.
A lot to look forward to in terms of music. And from what I hear, Neil Patrick Harris is also really active in having a say in what goes into his performances and awards shows. I feel like we're getting far away from what happened with sort of James Franco and Anne Hathaway, Phantom James Franco, and that the Grammys are really stepping up their game and their Oscar. This is the Oscars show.
Last weekend.
I'm still in last week. That the Oscars are really stepping up their game this year.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's gonna be, I can't wait. And there was another band that you said that was going to perform with.
Oh, Tegan and Sarah is also performing with The Lonely Island, which I think this is their first Oscar performance, so I'm really excited for that.
Crazy.
But so much to look forward to, so excited. I'm sure we'll be talking about it again. But we're now going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we will be breaking down this year's most competitive categories, including Best Picture of the Year. Welcome back to Pop Voice. I'm Casey Parker, joined by Joe Benjamin, Erica Lynch, and Matt Brown. Every year, hundreds of movies compete for the top prize at the Academy Awards, Best Picture. This year saw 8 films selected as nominees with some definite snubs and surprises. But before I go into too much detail, I'm going to hand it over to Erica.
Thank you, Casey. So like you said, there are 8 amazing films that are nominated this year. We have Boyhood, Birdman, American Sniper, Imitation Game, Grand Budapest Hotel, Selma, Whiplash, and Theory of Everything. So what are your thoughts on this year's nominations?
Well, I think Selma is a good movie, and I also think Whiplash is a great movie because I saw those movies a couple of days ago. And so I just think that it's going to be a really great category to, for this year's Best Picture. and I just can't wait to see what happens. But hopefully, one of those two movies are like going to get something throughout the night.
I know that the talk has been that it's between Boyhood and Birdman. Personally, I would like to see Imitation Game or The Theory of Everything as come out winning, but we'll see.
The thing about those two films, specifically Boyhood and Birdman, are that they have amazing production value. I mean, it's a given that whatever's nominated for Best Picture is going to have an excellent storyline and a great cast, but they have such great production value. Boyhood, as we know, was shot over 12 years, and Birdman, I believe, only has 3 takes in the entire thing. It's really long shots.
Yeah, I think I heard Birdman just won the British Oscar Awards for Best Picture. So maybe the USA will take some from England, wherever they are, and just like the British awarded Birdman for Best Picture. So why don't we?
Right.
So. Take something from the British, like our entire country.
I know my most important thing is cinematography and stuff like that to win Best Picture. I think although a cast is great, I think the way it's filmed is the best part, and so that's why I loved Birdman so much, is because it was just a continuous take. That it took them so little time to create these movies, create this movie, because they had so little takes and they had so little cuts. And it was just interesting to watch the camera go through the halls and around the corners in such a easy way on the eye. It was awesome.
Absolutely. And then, so what are we thinking about who's going to win Best Actor?
Ooh, I want to say Steve Carell. I got to go with my boy Steve Carell. Since The Office days, I love Steve Carell. So maybe there'll be a surprise, but there are also other good actors in there. But personally, I really hope Steve Carell gets the win.
I know the critics are saying that either Eddie Redmayne or Michael Keaton will win. And Michael Keaton in Birdman, obviously, people are saying it's one of his best performances of his life. And then Eddie Redmayne, personally, I think he should win because his performance in Theory of Everything, he mimics a person who contracted ALS and is in a wheelchair for his whole life. It's
absolutely amazing. Just the way that he must have had to just make it, the way he holds his face in the movie is just simply amazing. He must have been in front of a mirror for hours trying to practice what he's going to look like for it.
He's coming out as a big star this year. Just really his career is taking off, but I love all of the Best Actor nominations this year. They're all I'm in school. They're all really exciting, and Steve Carell, like you said, I'm so excited to see him in a serious role and to see what he can do as an actor, because being a comedian is amazing, but it's a completely different ball game.
Yeah, whole different view.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
So I'm excited for all of these categories, but we're going to take one last break, and when we come back, Matt will cover some unfortunate controversies over this year's nominations. And we're back on Pop Voice. I'm Casey Parker, joined by Joe Benjamin, Erica Lynch, and Matt Brown. Along with some surprises following the announcement of this year's nominees, the general public was fairly upset with some omissions from major categories. Matt, I know you've had some thoughts on this, so take it away.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely been a lot of controversy around what's been nominated and what hasn't been nominated in this year's Oscars. Best Director, there's been a lot of snubs there, and then Best Soundtrack, Original Soundtrack, and then Best Picture. There's also been a lot of snubs there. So the one that stands out to me the most is Selma, because what I find interesting is that the Academy, it's been proven that even though they're withholding the list of who is the Academy, it's 91% Caucasian people, and then 77% of that is male. So and the median age is 62 years old. So it's just a ton of white old guys deciding who wins the Oscars. And I think that a lot of people are thinking that that's the reason why Selma wasn't nominated for Best Director. And Ava DuVernay, it would have been she would have been the first African-American woman director to win in that category. So I think that would have been amazing for her to win.
Yeah, and even to audience members, I know there's a lot of thought as to why she wasn't nominated or anything, because it was an amazing movie. She clearly did an amazing job with it. So everyone's wondering why. Why not them?
Yeah, and another controversy that's going on is the American Sniper, and I think Bradley Cooper didn't really deserve the nomination for Best Actor. I think it should have been Miles Teller from Whiplash, because I think he did a phenomenal job in that movie. And
Yeah. American Sniper is dealing with a lot of controversy right now. The issue is that it's being portrayed as a true story. It's saying it's a true story when the emotions portrayed by Bradley Cooper weren't necessarily the emotions of Chris Kyle, who is actually the American Sniper, and that it's walking the very thin line between being a war hero movie and being straight up propaganda, and that's causing a lot of controversy and a lot of anger from a lot of people.
Yeah, it definitely enveloped a lot of sympathy from the audience when it shouldn't have, because Chris Kyle definitely wouldn't have got that sympathy.
Exactly. They say that in his writing, he even said that he wasn't feeling sympathetic towards the people who he would kill.
Yeah, and some other controversies I'm thinking of are Gone Girl. The original soundtrack from that wasn't nominated at all.
Nope.
And a lot of people think that should have been nominated.
Absolutely.
The original soundtrack from the original score,
Yeah.
from
Birdman?
Birdman.
Yeah.
Birdman, that's what I was going. Birdman wasn't
Yeah.
nominated either
I heard
because
that too.
even though the percussion was awesome, they had classical tracks
Yeah.
played into it, and so they're saying that it was technically not an original score because of that.
Yeah. And I loved that movie because of the drums that were played in it. Most of
Yeah.
the soundtrack was just drums, a little drum solo in there, and I
Yeah,
thought
it
that
was
was
really
interesting.
awesome.
I know. I think it's a little crazy. So, I mean, I know it does have the classical music, but it still had a good
Yeah, they
soundtrack
could've
to it.
overlooked that, yeah.
Exactly.
On a lighter note, I mean, the Lego Movie wasn't nominated for animated feature film,
Yeah.
even though it was nominated for Best Original Song, which is weird because if it's, I don't know, I just think
Yeah, I
Lego
think-
Movie deserves an animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think instead of How to Train Your Dragon 2, it should have been the Lego Movie, because I think that
Yeah,
was a great
definitely.
storyline.
I
And-
still think Big Hero 6 is going to take it, though.
Big Hero
Oh,
6 is
yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
gonna take it.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah, this
loved I
category.
cried.
Oh yeah, and best short film is Feast, by the way, if y'all don't know that, but it's gonna be awesome.
You can watch it online now.
Definitely.
And that's all for our first edition of Pop Voice. Make sure to tune in next time as we discuss more topics in the world of pop culture, and visit the SuffolkVoice.net for more updates. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at @SU_voice.